Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jay and I'm being a little bit quiet because it's late at night. In the UK it's just after 1 o'clock in the morning. My wife is in bed, but we've had some Star Wars Legion news from Gen Con, from the Fantasy Flight in-flight report at Gen Con. A lot of what if you saw my predictions, a lot of that is correct, and if I'm honest, there's nothing here that really massively rocks the boat. A lot of the predictions are sort of what we expected, but I'm not gonna lie, they are very interesting, very good looking models, very interesting. So we'll just get through and we'll go through it sequentially because otherwise we could be here all day. So we're just gonna look through the YouTube video. I don't have pictures or anything like that. I literally just finished, but you might be able to see on screen the commander options is Rex and Dooku. Not the combo I expected. I expected Dooku and Anakin and Rex and somebody else. I guess maybe to have two Force users on the Republic straight away would have been a little bit weird. Dooku and Grievous sort of makes sense though, like a decent buddy combo. But I expected a sort of cheap support characters, but that's not happened. All in all, though, these are two fantastic choices. Going to make a lot of people happy. Been in me wonders if we'll see maybe a Rex without a helmet, but who knows about that. And then we are actually going to get the Phase 2 clone troopers. All in all, I mean, I'm not gonna lie here, these models are looking very, very, very nice. These are the bog standard next choices. I expected something a little bit out of left field. I was incorrect. We are getting the more common options, which are obviously very nice. They're even more elite than the Phase 1 troopers. You can see they're going to have their own version of the Z6 and a little mortar guy. So they're going to have the fire support and that kind of stuff. Next thing to look at is the battle droids, at least the B2 battle droids. The more elite core troopers for the Separatists, aren't they? Basically, they're going to be a bit more expensive. You can sort of tell that in that they are, or they at least appear to be, a normal sized unit with, I guess, heavy weapons. I don't know. The guy here on the right, if you can see my mouse, seems to have some sort of rotary weapon. Yeah, maybe that is the special weapon. It's hard to tell. I don't really know too much about them, but these are going to be the more elite options for the Separatists, which all in all I actually think it makes the faction now a lot more interesting, because they were just hard. Now they're going to have that nice little combination of everything, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, do we get a release date for these? We do, and this is the interesting part for this. It says 2020, which I suspect will be like January, but it's a little bit later than I thought. If the game was coming out in September, I guess there's 3 months worth of releases. What might they be, he says. Well, I'll show you. Well, I'll try and show you. The first thing, I can't remember the name of this tank off the top of my head. Let's have a look at the name of the tanks. It's the AAT Trade Federation Battle Tank and the Sabre Class Fighter Tank. It's pretty much the ones we expected. They are the most classic of ships. Why can't I show you the other one? Come on, stream. There we go. This is for the Republic. Yeah, it's pretty much bob on. You couldn't get a better choice than this. This is the classic choice, and it is going to be a very interesting option. That looks like it'll be like, what, 175 points, that kind of amount of vehicle. It's going to be super interesting. And then we have, I'm going too far ahead. You've just seen it, but I can't get back to it. There we go. I've got to say, I love the way that looks with a little droid at the top. Yes, also very, very, very interesting. And again, 2020. So I expected that the tanks would be essentially the next proper wave. I thought we'd maybe get this as like wave 1. Like we'd have the core set release with the extra droids, and then we go straight into these. But there's a bit of a gap, which I don't think is a great choice. I think they possibly should have just absolutely nailed everything out from as quickly as they could, because I think they're going to lack options from the off. But when they do come out, they are looking very nice. And then a little bit out of left field here, we're going to get the Endor bunker, which the inside of which, by the way, is looking very, very, very nice. And he was talking, if you buy 2, you could have them back to back and have like a massive big bunker, which no doubt would look cool. That is coming out 2019 though, so that fills up one of the slots perhaps. Now they did mention here that there would actually be battle cards with these, so scenarios and objectives and that kind of stuff. My concern with that is, obviously, are we going to get maybe a card pack, because that is $75. If I wouldn't want to have gameplay hindered by the fact that they might be behind like and such an expensive paywall. However, maybe the objectives will come with this upgrade. So this is a drop battle pod, whatever you want to call it. So there's a bit of terrain. Now, I don't think they mentioned that the battle cards would come with this, but maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's hard to say. However, obviously, as you see in front of us, where there's R2D2 there and C3PO. Nice. You might be like, well, what faction are they? They are both. They are the first dual faction that we're going to get in Star Wars Legion, and you can use them both for the Republic and the Rebels, which is very interesting. So 2 for 1 though. If you play both factions, you're going to get both for the price of 1. So I think though, that was essentially it. This comes out in, it's off the screen. They messed it up. They put this screen. This comes out in 2019. So you might notice there's only 2 releases from in 2019 that isn't the core set. So I'm not sure. Maybe there's something we're not being told or shown. But I think that's an unusual release schedule. At least that is the first thing that like jumps out to me, is that the release schedule is not what I expected. Now the downside here to this could be that the core set might not be coming out in September. Maybe that it was presumptuous of us, although they keep saying it would be late Q3. Q3 ends in September, so but maybe they're going to have to delay it. Maybe they're going to put it in say October, and then both those expansions could maybe come out one after each other, something like that. I just find it seems the maths don't really line up with what we would expect. And I think to go from the core release and then the next release, even if it's in October, to then the next proper release being 2020, I find that unusual. Yeah, I find that unusual. And everything that we see is obviously looking fantastic. I mean, the sculpts for Rex and Dooku look fantastic. The sculpt for these Phase 2, the battle droids, etc., all look. My YouTube there seems to be crashing. All look pretty damn nice. What's it doing? All look pretty damn nice, right? I mean, you couldn't necessarily complain, but I have my 2 concerns, if you will, is the release dates of the tanks and all that kind of stuff says 2020, and the battle cards being possibly behind a bit of a paywall. But I mean, you can't lie, that battle bunker looks incredible. The tank and everything looks incredible. So I mean, there you have it. That's basically all that we got. It's a little safe, I think. Do you know what I mean? There's not. I thought maybe we would get maybe stuff like announcements of point changes coming, but it seems to be literally just product releases. So I was a bit maybe overly hopeful for point changes, etc. Yeah, I think this is the same. Like we knew those calls were possibly going to come at some point. It just sort of made too much sense. Those vehicles were the odds-on choices. Dooku and Rex were obviously coming at some point. So nothing there really goes, oh, amazing. R2D2 and C3PO have been a noticeable absentee from the releases so far. That's why I actually mentioned them in the prediction video. And then everything else we don't know about. I suspect this might be the start of a ramp up when it comes to Clone Wars news. So maybe they didn't want to push everything out now because the game will only be on sale in September, and we'll get more news as we get close to that date. Saying that, it is actually on sale. The Clone Wars starter set's on sale at Gen Con if you're lucky enough to get one. So, you know, the hype of that is sort of deteriorating anyways. People will have it and it'll get spread out. Yeah, so it's everything here was safe, but everything looks nice, and I'm pretty happy about the way that everything looks. Obviously, the gameplay and all that kind of stuff will really be the telling factor. That's it. I don't want to say I'm disappointed because that's like harsh, but I felt like there should be a little bit something out of left field, something a bit like, I think maybe we were a little bit spoiled last year where obviously they announced the Clone Wars. This might be the one where they keep it a little bit on the low key, and then I'll talk about that in a minute. And then next year, obviously, we'll possibly get announcements of like the Resistance or sub factions and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, so I think there just wasn't. It was expected, but everything that we've seen is good stuff, if that makes sense. And maybe not as hyped as I would be because I'm very tired. One thing before I go, one last thing, as they said on the stream, and and I have spoken on a couple of my videos about a Marvel miniatures game, and that FFG might eventually jump into that. And well, their last thing here was a company called Atomic Miniature Games. I can't remember the name because I'm tired. But they are a sister company of FFG. Not sure if they're owned by FFG, but they're definitely under Asmodee. And they announced essentially a Marvel skirmish game. The only downside I could see about this game was the fact that you can mix and match good and bad guys. But apart from that, the models and everything in it look pretty damn good. I think in the morning I'll probably come on and do a proper talk about this. I've spoken before how I wish like FFG would maybe move into this skirmishy realm, and maybe this is a way of them saying like, we're not going to do this because we're busy doing our Star Wars stuff, but you crack on and you do this. And that's exciting. They did talk about the organised play is mostly not going to be competitive, but they will have competitive at big events. I was like, oh, I really like just like balanced competitive games, but that's an interesting one. We'll have to wait and see. People will do demos and stuff like that, so definitely interesting there. So yeah, like but I think when you can predict what's coming, you're never going to be as satisfied as if something random might happen. Like the Clone Wars last year was just such a like, what? Clone Wars, amazing. Well, obviously we've not reached that height this time, so my staying up late, I'm like, okay, maybe I wouldn't if I knew what was coming. But everything there that I saw, I mean, R2D2, C3P0 being dual faction, pretty damn nice. Those core troopers, also nice, and those tanks, I'm very much looking forward to those vehicles. So, Dooku, I'm curious how Dooku will be dissimilar from Grievous. Obviously, one's a force user, one's not, so maybe that'll be such a big distinction that it won't really matter. And Rex and Obi-Wan, nice little combo. So I guess it all makes sense, really. Rex and Obi-Wan sort of does remind me of Luke and Leia in a weird way. That's it. I'm gonna go to bed. It's late at night. I'm gonna publish this, do the thumbnail, and go to bed. We'll talk more, obviously, about what we've seen in the coming days, probably in the morning. Have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.